this is Janelle with Crowded Table Farmstead. I wanted to bring you along while I cook dinner tonight. I am making sort of a thrown together ham and potato soup. We ordered a half a hog probably over a year ago now, and I still have some ham steaks and some random things that I need to use up from that order. And we're trying to really work through our meat freezer to get it cleaned out for our next round coming up pretty soon. So I want to be really intentional on using those cuts that are a little harder for me to use. They're just not my go-tos. And I thought that this ham and potato soup would be a really good option to use some of those ham steaks up and use some of the crusty bread that we baked this morning. I will link that video here as well. So if you'd like to see how I throw the soup together, stay tuned. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some garlic peeled, because I think every soup should start with onions and garlic. And then I'll get this onion diced up really quickly. Always save these to put in a freezer bag, and when you get a gallon bag full, you can make broth. You can either dump them in with like your chicken bones after you roast a whole chicken, or you could just make veggie broth once you have enough. So don't waste those scraps. I decided to stick with just half the onion for this recipe. You could totally put the whole one in, I just decided to leave it out. Next, I grabbed my garlic press to get the garlic in there. Sometimes I chop it, but this time I decided to use the press. It just sort of gets it minced up a little finer than I can usually get with my knife. I don't love it though, it kind of gets stuck in there and it's hard to clean. I got mine at Goodwill a few months ago, and I think I need to look around for a different one. Do you all have a suggestion? Favorite garlic press? I'd love to take a look at some different ones. I put half an onion and about 3 cloves of garlic in my pot, and I'm just gonna saute those on low for a couple minutes. In the meantime, I am gonna get some carrots peeled and diced up, and then also work on dicing up my potatoes and peeling them. They look like they need used up, don't they? Did you know that if you have potatoes start to sprout like this, you can actually plant them in your garden? Just make sure you can chop them up and make sure that each little hunk has an eye, and you can grow your own potatoes. Okay, so I've got 4 big carrots peeled, and I'm just gonna dice them up in little bite-sized chunks. I save my ends of my carrots and my peels also for broth making, so make sure not to waste that flavor. And as I chop them, I'm just going to toss them in and let them soften up with the onion and garlic. Okay, so we've got our carrots in there with our onion and garlic getting nice and soft. The next thing that I'm going to do, and this is going to help thicken our soup in the long run, is I'm going to put in about 3 tablespoons, and this isn't exact, but about 3 tablespoons of flour. And we'll just kind of stir that around until the flour gets a little bit of color on it. I think I might need a little bit more oil. I put about a tablespoon of oil in here when I first started to get the veggies sauteing, and I probably put like a tablespoon more just now so that the flour has something to cook up with. So I'm just going to kind of cook that flour a little bit, and then we'll pour in some milk, about 2 cups, and then I have some broth. It smells delicious in here. In the meantime, I'm going to chop the potatoes in smallish pieces. I want them to cook down pretty quickly once I put them in the soup, so I'm going to chop them about 1/2-inch cubes. But I'm not going to put them in quite yet until I get more liquid in the pot after the flour is cooked down. Okay, looks like the flour is nice and cooked. You can see it's starting to get a little brown on the bottom, and that's okay. When we pour in our milk, I'm going to pour in about 2 cups of milk. That is going to come right up off the bottom and add really good flavor to the soup. Delicious. And then I'm also going to grab this broth. I think I'm going to skim the fat off the top first, and then I'm going to pour that broth in. Okay, so I got the fat skimmed off this, and put about 1 quart in. This is just chicken broth. You could use vegetable broth as well. I'm going to put a little more in. You can make this as thick or as thin as you want, but that might be good. So I put probably 1.5 quart of broth. And then I'm just going to bring this to a boil, and then I will put the potatoes in. Okay, so the next thing, I got all the potatoes in the pot, and now I'm going to get my ham chopped up. So I'm kind of interested to see. These are the ham ends from my ham steaks. Yikes, those are some big chunks. So I'm going to kind of go through here and chop these up a little further into usable pieces and get them diced up probably about the same 1/4 inch size as I did the potatoes, and we'll get those into the soup as well. This took quite a long time to get all the usable pieces off of these ham ends. I was really not sure what I was going to see when I opened this package up. It ended up being fine. I'm just super picky about having any sort of fat on my meat, so I had to kind of pick through and make sure I got all the fat off. There was a big bone in the middle that I had to cut around, so it took a while. And then just to get it all chopped up into bite-sized pieces so that my family could handle them. I've got 3 little ones that sometimes turn their nose up at big chunks of things, but they did pretty good at this. The smaller pieces, the better, I find. So once I got got all that fat and bone cut out, I was able to hunk this up. This really could have used more ham. This is just all I could get off of these ends. So if you had more to throw in, I would say this recipe could use it. Now we've finally reached the end. Phew! Okay, I've got all our ham chunked up and I'm just going to dump it right in the soup. Stir it up a little bit. It's already looking delicious. Big hearty chunks of carrot, potatoes, and ham. Yum. I'm going to season this up a little bit. I've got about a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to put in about a half a teaspoon of pepper. Okay, so the soup is bubbling away, the potatoes are almost cooked, and I'm going to throw in a bag of corn. This is kind of an awesome surprise. It's fresh corn from last summer that we cut off the cob during corn season, and I thought I was all out of it, but I found this in the bottom of our deep freeze. So I'm going to add this in. This is going to end up being sort of like a chowder, like a ham and potato chowder. I think I'm going to put some cheddar cheese in it also. So one of the last things that I'm going to do is put in a little sharp cheddar cheese to make this a little cheesy. And I got this, it's called Seriously Sharp Cheddar, Classic Vermont Cheddar Cheese. I got this from Costco in a 2-pound block. So I'm just going to use a little hunk of this and shred it up to throw in the soup. I also just tasted the soup and it's good, but I should have waited to salt it until after I put the ham in because the ham is already pretty salty. So noted for next time. It'll still be great. Grating your own cheese like this, one, it doesn't have all the added powdery junk that is on your bagged shredded cheese, but also it just melts a lot better into your soup or on your casserole or whatever you're using it for. So I really like doing it this way. And then usually whatever's left over before I start to shred my fingertips is what I get to snack on. Okay, so now I'm ready to add the cheese. I did go ahead and take the soup off of the heat while I add the cheese, just so that it doesn't get weird and kind of burn to the bottom, and it just kind of melts in slowly. So I'd say I've got a good cup of cheese. It looks so good. I can't wait to have some of that bread with it. Another fun thing would be to fry up some bacon and kind of chop it up or crumble it up for sort of a garnish on top of this soup. That'd be really good. Let's give it a taste really quick. Yeah. That's so good. Perfect, cozy winter meal. This would be awesome for like Thanksgiving leftovers. Delish. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I sort of created this hodgepodge ham and potato chowder. I hope that it's useful to you. It would be a great use of leftover ham from Thanksgiving or Christmas. It was a great help for us to use up the half hog that we had in our freezer. and just perfect for this cozy night in the middle of winter. So we're really thankful for this new recipe, and I hope that it blesses your family. If you like this, please subscribe to my channel and give it a like. I'll be getting out more recipe tutorials, some DIYs when the weather warms up outside, and you can just follow along at what we're doing here on our farm. Thanks for stopping by our crowded table.